The 1970s were a chaotic era of innovation, but not every creation withstood the test of time. Some inventions proved to be hazardous, from toxic toys to dangerous household gadgets. Whether it was exploding car fuel tanks, lethal diet pills, or radioactive building materials, these inventions were ultimately deemed too risky to remain on the market. So, come with us as we examine the 25 most dangerous inventions from the 1970s that are now prohibited. Nuclear-powered pacemakers. In the 1970s, the medical industry experimented with nuclear-powered pacemakers. It meant a lot, because since Jennifer's had the pacemaker, there's been a complete change in her. She's grown in size. Using plutonium-238 as a long-lasting energy source, unlike traditional battery-operated models, these devices promised lifelong functionality without battery replacements. However, the dangers far exceeded the advantages. If the pacemaker was damaged in an accident or during surgery, it could leak radioactive material into the body, leading to cancer and radiation poisoning. Additionally, disposal was a significant issue. These devices couldn't simply be discarded due to nuclear contamination risks. By the 1980s, the introduction of safer lithium-based pacemakers made this radioactive experiment obsolete. Today, atomic pacemakers remain a bizarre relic of the past, with strict regulations on handling the few that still exist. Flammable polyester clothing. The 1970s were the golden era of polyester fashion, with sleek synthetic suits dominating disco dance floors and office wear. All of today's date creme polyester at prices that won't cause your fortune, now I see a romance. While polyester was cheap, wrinkle-resistant, and stylish, it came with a hidden danger: extreme flammability. Unlike natural fibers, such as cotton or wool, polyester melted upon ignition, fusing to the skin and causing severe third-degree burns. The risk was even higher when exposed to open flames, cigarettes, or kitchen stoves, leading to horrifying injuries. As reports of polyester-related burn accidents surged, consumer safety advocates pushed for stricter fire resistance standards in clothing production. By the late 1970s, flammability regulations were introduced, and manufacturers began treating fabrics with fire-retardant chemicals, ensuring modern synthetic clothing was far less hazardous. Chrysler turbine car. The Chrysler turbine car was an automotive marvel in the 1970s. Love the smell of jet fuel in the morning. That's it, jet. That's amazing. The craftsmanship, designed to run on jet fuel, diesel, or even alcohol. Unlike conventional engines, its gas turbine motor had fewer moving parts, reducing maintenance needs while delivering a futuristic design. However, its excessive heat production was a major drawback. The exhaust temperature was so high that it could melt nearby objects. Additionally, it produced hazardous emissions, posing serious air pollution risks. Another problem was its slow acceleration and poor fuel efficiency, making it impractical for everyday use. Though Chrysler built 50 prototypes, most were later destroyed to prevent technology leaks. While the concept of turbine cars remains fascinating, their environmental and safety concerns ultimately led to their disappearance from the market. While the Chrysler turbine car was a fire hazard on wheels, it wasn't the only invention from the 1970s that posed a serious combustion risk. But one of the dangers was lurking inside homes rather than on the road. Flammable fiberglass insulation. During the 1970s, fiberglass insulation became widely used in homes and commercial buildings. We are using fiberglass bats with a paper face, and this is the vapor barrier, right? Yes, it is. Due to its lightweight structure and thermal efficiency, however, early formulations of this insulation were highly flammable, posing a serious fire hazard. If exposed to an open flame or high heat, the insulation would ignite rapidly, fueling fires instead of preventing them. To make matters worse, burning fiberglass released toxic fumes containing formaldehyde and other carcinogens, endangering anyone trapped inside a burning building. As the risks became evident, stricter fire safety regulations led to the phasing out of highly combustible fiberglass insulation. Today, flame-retardant alternatives are the standard, ensuring buildings remain insulated without the deadly fire risks of their 1970s predecessors. X-ray shoe fitting machines. One of the most bizarre inventions of the mid-20th century was the X-ray shoe fitting machine, found in thousands of shoe stores throughout the 1950s and 60s. Eventually, by the late 50s, these machines, were banned for operation here in the U.S. Marketed as a modern and scientific way to ensure a perfect shoe fit, the device allowed customers, including children, to place their feet inside an unshielded X-ray chamber. The machine would then emit radiation to produce a live skeletal image, letting customers see how well a shoe fit their bones. However, prolonged and repeated exposure to ionizing radiation significantly increased the risk of skin damage, cancer, and genetic mutations. With mounting health concerns and lawsuits, these machines were phased out in the late 1970s, and strict regulations were placed on public radiation exposure. The dangers of unchecked radiation in retail stores raised serious health concerns, but exposure to toxic substances wasn't limited to shoe shopping. What if a common everyday necessity silently poisoned millions through the air that they breathed? Leaded gasoline. For much of the 20th century, leaded gasoline was hailed as a revolutionary fuel additive. It will be closed automatically, so don't manually push it hard for more gas, because that won't be good for your car. Improving engine performance and reducing knocking in car engines. However, by the 1970s, scientists discovered that lead emissions from vehicle exhaust were poisoning the air with devastating consequences. Neurological studies linked lead exposure to brain damage, lower IQ, and behavioral disorders, particularly in children. Long-term exposure also contributed to cardiovascular disease, kidney damage, and reproductive issues. Despite strong opposition from the oil industry, environmental regulations gradually banned leaded gasoline in most countries by the 1980s. Today, unleaded fuel is the global standard, but the lingering effects of lead pollution from past decades remain a significant public health concern. Asbestos hair dryers. During the 1970s, asbestos, once considered a miracle material for its heat resistance and durability, was unknowingly exposing people to deadly health risks. Dryer, the super bright and green machine, is light. Hair dryers manufactured during this period contained asbestos-lined heating elements which prevented overheating but released microscopic asbestos fibers into the air with each use. These airborne particles, when inhaled, became lodged in the lungs, leading to mesothelioma, asbestosis, and lung cancer, diseases that often took decades to appear. As scientific evidence mounted regarding the severe health consequences of asbestos exposure, regulators and consumer advocacy groups pushed for a ban. By the late 1970s, asbestos-containing hair dryers were recalled and discontinued, replaced by safer ceramic and metal heating elements that did not pose the same deadly risks. As asbestos-laced hair dryers were finally recalled, consumers still weren't safe from unexpected household dangers. What if a refreshing drink could become a pressurized time bomb waiting to explode in your hand? Exploding aluminum cans. The shift from steel to lightweight aluminum cans in the 1970s was meant to improve convenience and reduce manufacturing costs. There we go. Let's select the airing. Apparently to give it an airing. Take. However, early aluminum beverage cans had a critical flaw. They were prone to spontaneous explosions due to poor structural integrity and excessive internal pressure. Beer and soda manufacturers had miscalculated the amount of carbonation pressure aluminum could handle, leading to instances where cans burst without warning, causing lacerations, eye injuries, and even deep cuts. Supermarket shelves occasionally turned into shrapnel zones as cans popped unexpectedly. After numerous consumer complaints and injuries, beverage companies revised the can thickness and pressure resistance, ensuring that modern aluminum cans remain sturdy enough to contain carbonated beverages safely without the risk of unexpected explosions. Thermite-based road flares. Thermite-based flares were marketed in the 1970s as roadside emergency signals to alert other drivers to a stranded vehicle. All hail the god thermite. Okay, all right, that's bright. However, these flares burned at over 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 2,200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt metal, ignite gasoline spills, and cause devastating fires if mishandled. The thermite mixture, once ignited, could not be extinguished with water, making accidents nearly impossible to control. Additionally, the intense heat posed severe burn risks if handled incorrectly. Reports of vehicles catching fire due to misplaced flares and concerns over civilian misuse led to their eventual phase-out. Today, LED emergency lights and electronic distress signals have largely replaced thermite-based flares, providing a safer, fire-free alternative for roadside emergencies. Radium watches. For decades, radium-infused self-luminous watches were prized for their glowing dials, allowing users to read the time in total darkness, where many unfortunately died as a result of negligent instructions being provided, which led to ingesting of the material. These timepieces contained radium-226, a radioactive element that emitted a continuous glow without requiring an external light source. However, the true danger lay in the wearers and the factory workers who painted the dials by hand. To achieve fine brush strokes, these workers, mostly young women, were instructed to lip-point their brushes, unknowingly ingesting radium over time. They developed horrific radiation poisoning, including jaw necrosis, anemia, and cancer. The Radium Girls scandal led to public outcry, and by the 1970s, radium watches were phased out and replaced by safer phosphorescent materials. Radium watches showcased how something designed for convenience could have deadly consequences. But what happens when a game meant for fun turns into a lethal backyard weapon? Adult lawn darts. Unlike the plastic-tip versions made for children, adult lawn darts were designed as a serious backyard game. "Miss, I need my keys back. I got to get home." But with deadly consequences. These oversized darts featured steel tips, making them lethal projectiles capable of puncturing skulls and causing fatal injuries. Originally intended for recreational use, these darts quickly became infamous for gruesome accidents, particularly at parties where alcohol impaired judgment. Emergency rooms began reporting skull fractures, brain injuries, and even deaths caused by errant throws. The dangers were undeniable. A single misstep could turn a friendly gathering into a tragedy. After multiple fatalities and widespread public outcry, lawn darts were banned outright in most countries by the early 1980s. Today, only modified blunt-ended versions remain on the market. PCB flame retardants. Polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, were widely used as flame retardants in furniture, insulation, and electrical equipment, marketed as a fire prevention breakthrough. We can reduce PCBs in our environment and reduce PCBs in waterways all over. However, studies soon revealed their high toxicity, linking them to cancer, liver damage, reproductive issues, and immune system disorders. These chemicals didn't just stay in furniture, They leached into the environment, contaminating air, water, and even food supplies. People unknowingly inhaled PCB particles or absorbed them through skin contact, leading to long-term health hazards. With mounting scientific evidence and public outcry, PCBs were banned in 1979 under the U.S. Toxic Substances Control Act. However, their slow decomposition means traces of these dangerous chemicals still linger in older buildings, posing risks even decades after their prohibition. Candy cigarettes. In the 1970s, candy cigarettes were a popular treat, mimicking the appearance of real cigarettes with sugar sticks, bubble gum, or chocolate wrapped in paper. Some even produced a puff of powdered sugar or cornstarch to resemble smoke, making them even more realistic. While seemingly harmless, these candies were criticized for glamorizing smoking and encouraging children to adopt the habit later in life. Studies suggested that kids who played with candy cigarettes were more likely to become smokers as adults, raising major public health concerns. As anti-smoking campaigns gained momentum, many countries and states banned candy cigarettes, while others restricted their sale. This marked a significant step in discouraging tobacco culture and reducing youth exposure to smoking influences. If candy could influence smoking habits, what kind of risk did fireworks containing toxic heavy metals pose? Heavy metal fireworks. The 1970s saw widespread use of heavy metal fireworks, creating dazzling displays but with hidden dangers. These fireworks contained toxic metals like lead, titanium, and copper, which enhanced colors but released harmful fumes and particles into the air. When inhaled, these pollutants posed serious health risks, including lung damage, neurological issues, and heavy metal poisoning. Additionally, the leftover residue contaminated soil and water sources, harming wildlife and ecosystems. Frequent misfires and accidental explosions also led to burn injuries, property damage, and even fatalities. As environmental and health concerns grew, regulatory bodies imposed strict bans and restrictions on fireworks containing toxic heavy metals, leading to safer alternatives with less harmful chemical compositions. Lead-based paint. During the 1970s, lead-based paint was a common household product used on walls, furniture, and even children's toys due to its durability and vibrant color. Once we're done, we take a look at the tip and we can see that this is red, which means that we have lead. However, as the paint aged, it would chip, crack, and release toxic lead dust, posing a severe health hazard, especially to children. Young kids, drawn to peeling paint, often ingested lead chips or inhaled dust, leading to neurological damage, developmental delays, learning disabilities, and even organ failure. Adults weren't spared either, with long-term exposure causing high blood pressure, kidney issues, and reproductive harm. As scientific evidence mounted, governments banned lead-based paint in residential buildings and consumer products in 1978. Older homes still pose risks despite the ban, requiring careful removal and remediation. Asbestos insulation. Asbestos insulation was widely used in homes, schools, and commercial buildings due to its fire-resistant and insulating properties. Immune system cells try and break down the asbestos fibers and become damaged and die. However, as structures aged, asbestos fibers became airborne, posing a severe health hazard when inhaled. Prolonged exposure led to devastating lung diseases, including asbestosis, lung cancer, and mesothelioma, a rare but deadly cancer. Construction workers, factory employees, and even homeowners faced serious risks without realizing it. Unlike other toxins, asbestos-related illnesses could take decades to appear, making early detection difficult. As medical research confirmed its dangers, governments imposed strict bans and regulations, phasing out its use by the late 1970s. Despite being banned, asbestos still lingers in older buildings, requiring specialized removal to prevent further exposure risks. Hazardous materials in homes were one thing, but how did a prescription drug cause one of history's biggest medical disasters? Thalidomide. Originally developed as a sedative and treatment for morning sickness, thalidomide was widely prescribed to pregnant women in the 1970s. It was also difficult to recognize babies affected by the thalidomide disaster as one group of children suffering from the same condition. Marketed as a safe and effective remedy for nausea, the drug had devastating consequences. It interfered with fetal development, resulting in thousands of babies born with severe limb deformities, missing or shortened arms and legs, and other congenital disabilities. The tragedy unfolded globally, with families left to cope with the irreversible damage caused by a drug that had undergone insufficient testing. As the scale of the disaster became clear, governments swiftly banned thalidomide, triggering major reforms in drug testing and approval regulations. The catastrophe remains one of the most infamous examples of pharmaceutical negligence in modern medical history. Cyclamates. Cyclamates were a widely used artificial sweetener found in diet sodas, candies, and processed foods, offering a calorie-free alternative to sugar. Cyclamates have at one time produced cancer in rats. Their future may still be very much in question. Initially praised for their ability to help with weight management and diabetes control, cyclamates soon became the center of a major health scare. Studies linked them to bladder cancer in lab rats, raising alarms about their potential carcinogenic effects in humans. As public concern grew, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration banned cyclamates in 1970, though some countries continue to allow their use. The controversy also led to stricter regulations on artificial sweeteners, prompting food manufacturers to seek safer alternatives like aspartame and saccharin. Despite ongoing debates, cyclamates remain banned in the U.S. today. DDT pesticide. Once hailed as a miracle pesticide, DDT was widely used in the 1970s to combat agricultural pests and mosquito-borne diseases like malaria. This newly discovered force has at long last gained the upper hand in our age-old struggle. However, scientific research soon revealed its catastrophic environmental and health consequences. DDT accumulated in the food chain, poisoning birds, fish, and other wildlife, leading to population declines in species like the bald eagle due to weakened eggshells. In humans, long-term exposure was linked to cancer, liver damage, and reproductive issues. Public outcry, fueled by Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring, led to an extensive review, and in 1972, the U.S. banned DDT. While some countries still use it for disease control, its lasting environmental impact remains a cautionary tale of unchecked chemical use in agriculture. If a pesticide could devastate ecosystems, what about chemicals silently destroying Earth's protective ozone layer? Chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. During the 1970s, chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, were widely used in aerosol sprays, refrigerants, and foam-blowing agents, praised for their stability and efficiency. That we see for the first time, chlorine levels are definitely going down, and ozone levels are responding to it. However, scientists later discovered that these chemicals had a devastating environmental impact. When released into the atmosphere, CFCs break down ozone molecules, creating a gaping hole in the ozone layer, Earth's natural shield against harmful ultraviolet radiation. This led to increased risks of skin cancer, cataracts, and global climate disruptions. The growing environmental crisis sparked worldwide action, leading to the 1987 Montreal Protocol, which phased out CFC production and use. Though now banned in most countries, the damage remains, and efforts to restore the ozone layer continue through global environmental policies and sustainable alternatives. Mercury thermometers. In the 1970s, mercury thermometers were a household staple, commonly used for measuring body temperature. This allows the mercury to squeeze out and then get stuck up in here, and unless you force it back. However, their seemingly simple design concealed a serious hazard. The liquid mercury inside was highly toxic. If a thermometer broke, the mercury could evaporate into a dangerous vapor, posing severe health risks when inhaled. Prolonged exposure could lead to neurological damage, kidney failure, and developmental issues in children. Additionally, improper disposal of mercury thermometers led to environmental contamination, affecting water sources and wildlife. Recognizing these dangers, governments worldwide began phasing out mercury thermometers in favor of safer digital and alcohol-based alternatives. By the early 2000s, most countries had implemented strict bans or restrictions, marking the end of an era for this once common medical tool. PCB electrical components. In the 1970s, polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, were extensively used in electrical transformers, capacitors, and cooling fluids due to their non-flammable and insulating properties. However, these chemicals were later identified as highly toxic and persistent environmental pollutants. PCBs accumulate in the food chain, contaminating soil, water, and wildlife, and posing serious health risks to humans. Exposure was linked to liver damage, immune system suppression, reproductive issues, and an increased risk of cancer. Since PCBs do not break down easily, they continue polluting ecosystems long after use. In response, governments worldwide banned the production of PCBs in the late 1970s, though their safe disposal remains a challenge, requiring costly cleanup efforts to mitigate long-term contamination risks. Asbestos brake pads. Glass fiber brake pads were widely used in the 70s as an alternative to traditional asbestos-based brakes. Mechanics who are exposed to an asbestos hazard when changing brake shoes may eliminate the hazard by using this special attachment with the asbestos vacuum center. These microscopic fibers posed serious health risks, as prolonged exposure led to diseases such as asbestosis, lung cancer, and mesothelioma. Mechanics and factory workers were particularly vulnerable due to constant exposure to brake dust. Over time, regulations were introduced to phase out asbestos-containing brake pads in favor of safer materials like ceramic and metallic composites. Many countries banned asbestos in automotive parts, significantly reducing health risks. Modern brake pads are designed with non-toxic materials, ensuring safety and performance without endangering human health. Ephedra diet pills. Ephedra, once a popular ingredient in weight loss pills and energy supplements, was widely used in the 1970s for its stimulant properties. Ephedra is no longer sold in the United States. It actually has been banned by the FDA. Derived from the ephedra plant, it contained ephedrine alkaloids, which increased heart rate, metabolism, and fat burning. Marketed as a miracle solution for obesity and athletic performance, it quickly gained traction. However, users began experiencing dangerous side effects, including high blood pressure, heart palpitations, strokes, and even sudden cardiac arrest. Reports of fatalities and life-threatening complications led to intense scrutiny by health authorities. After numerous lawsuits and medical studies confirmed its serious risks, the FDA banned ephedra in 2004, making it one of the few dietary supplements to be completely outlawed due to public health concerns.